you as well, all of you who come on your own ticket and so generously to offer your advice and your expertise over these next 2 days for this movement that we're calling Velocity. So I thank you very much for being here. I was thinking about how we should get started. Jim, thanks a million.
You're welcome, Carol. Good luck.
I was thinking about what to say to sort of get us started this morning, and I ran across this, this thought. Cities are not about the perfect vision. They are not about a singular idea. They are about a collision of all kinds of incompatible demands. A collision of incompatible demands. I thought that was perfect, Sandra. It was a great way to put it. It is in containing that collision within a geographical, political, social, and cultural context that a city creates its meaning. Cities can resolve the paradox, reconcile the incompatible into something new and powerful. It isn't always pretty. The results are sometimes messy or unpleasant, but it is in that resolution process that we create the energy and innovation that moves the city forward and allows its residents, businesses, and institutions to reinvent themselves and their lives if they so choose. I thought that was such a beautiful way to describe what cities are really all about. And I think what we're looking at here is Futurama. Most of you know it. It's very iconic. 1939 World's Fair. GM put forward this vision of America, of the good life in America. And what was really interesting is visitors to the 1939 World's Fair looked at this and they said, I want that. There's a little piece of film that shows all these neat little cars moving in sort of lock-sync, no congestion, no delays, everyone moving from their home in the country to the work in the city and then back again. And I think on the one hand, people said, I want that. On the other hand, of course, it didn't reflect any of the messiness that cities really are all about, especially if people are involved. So what this got wrong, I think, is that people tend to mess things up. They make it messy. And so I think what our job, what's really interesting is that we are in many ways still living with this notion of what the good life is all about. And yet, I think we're all sensitive to the fact that it's not quite working out the way we thought it would, that we need to make some changes. You can sort of see evidence all around. Jim mentioned some of that here in Grand Rapids. You can see it in your own cities and in your own travels, that the vision of the good life is changing, but we don't yet have that really coherent, solid, compelling picture of what's out there for us in the future. Something that sort of takes all the experiments that we're seeing and wraps them into a cohesive, strong, compelling narrative that people, just like when they saw this, they say, I want that. And so that creates disconnects all around. It creates disconnects in the market in terms of what the market provides. We know, for instance, that the market is demanding much more walkable places, and yet we're not quite delivering the product that we need to deliver. We know that people want to live greener lives, more sustainable lives. We're not yet making that very easy. We know that people are thinking now, wow, this debt that I once thought of as necessary is now burdening me in a way. I used to think of that as freedom, now it's a burden. So you're seeing it everywhere that there's this sense rising in people that we need to alter what is available to us to live the good life, and yet we don't quite have a clear focus on what that is. So the next 2 days is a very ambitious attempt to sort of define that, to bring that into focus. And I don't know, maybe we're crazy for thinking we can actually pull this off, but that really is the work that we're here to do. Just to get you oriented, there are, of course, 2 days. Today, we're going to look at the good life through a human lens. In other words, what we want to do is say, what are the values that people have, and how will they fulfill those values going forward? So I'll go back to the freedom idea for a minute. This summer we talked a lot about freedom in America, right? That was the big controversy, was freedom, freedom. And yet the way in which we used to deliver freedom or achieve freedom could be very different than the way we will do that in the future. Freedom once meant a car for everyone in the family, living in a house disconnected from a community, enough debt to carry a big house. That was freedom. But now some of that, again, feels very constraining, constricting, not freedom. It feels burdensome. So how do we make that shift? That's what we'll talk about today. So values may remain the same, but the way we fulfill those values may change. So today's focus is the human lens, the human values that we need to recognize and fulfill. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about how cities could be the very best places to fulfill those values. So two different focus, two different ways we're going to think about this. And again, what we hope to do is by the end of today, have a good, solid, compelling description of a good life. And then by the end of tomorrow, have a whole group of exciting experiments defined that would help cities be the very best places to deliver that good life. So that's the work that we're going to do over the next couple of days. I can't tell you how appreciative we are, again, for you being here to help us launch this work. After we spend these 2 days and come up with the products here, we will then take those to our meeting, our National Urban Leaders Summit 2 weeks from now in Washington, D.C. We will ask them to vet your work and take a couple of questions, maybe a couple of 3 questions that you are going to deal with tomorrow. We'll have them deal with those in a 3-hour workshop, very, very condensed. But your work will be foundational to that. And then next year, what we hope to do is roll out the work that you've done in a series of salons, really to spread the word in major markets across the country. So that's what that's our job here over the next 2 days. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks to Catherine Bagnan and her fabulous, there you are, and her wonderful team for bringing us all together and